Greetings, future experts of under-gender identities. How you all doing? I hope you can hear me over the noise. I am here at Creed convention at Ashton Gate in Bedminster. Ashton Gate, Bristol. Ignore me, I've already walked around and I'm knackered. But yeah, so I will post pictures of stuff. I'm here with Helen and Warren over there. Helen's at Junkrat and Warren's is Wesley. Wave, hello. So, yes, let's keep walking around. I've already met Brambledown, Simon and his missus, and stuff. So yeah, we just come outside for a quick breather. I haven't got a lot of time because I've got so many photo shoots today, and we have already seen the chaos of the queues that is the autographs. There's no barriers, there's no markings on the floor. It is chaos in there. So I don't know if I'm going to get some of the autographs that I want, but anyway, let's carry on and keep going. Okay, I hope you can see me with the sun on one side of my face. I'm blind. Flipping heck. For traders and for Comic Cons and photo shoot and props and stuff like that, bloody good. The shit show was the autograph lines. There was no barriers. Oh no, I beg your pardon. I found 3 barriers that weren't attached to anything. The only one that had barriers and security was John Barrowman. The only way I found out that William Hope wasn't there was because I queued for his photo shoot to be told he's not come in. He's phoned in sick last minute. He wasn't in today, so I thought, what? Fuck. Nobody told me that, so I will be emailing if I doesn't get a refund, because I paid for that photo shoot. Also, the photo shoot itself was not private. I was like stood there getting I've paid for a photo, and there were people stood there taking pictures of like John Barrowman, Craig Charles, etc. And I could see them cropping the person out as they were taking the picture. So they could get a picture of whoever it was without paying for it. I was also told no selfies, and yet a lot of them were doing selfies, some were charging, some weren't. But the queuing system, there was no queuing system. If I was literally walking up and down saying, like, is this the queue for so-and-so? Is this the queue for so-and-so? But anyway, yeah, a bit miffed that William Hope wasn't there. So I couldn't get it. I bought me Aliens cosplay special. So I couldn't say you were an asshole, Gorman. But anyway, managed to get everybody else. Managed to get... John Barrowman is just sort of like, you know, zoom next, zoom next, zoom next. And he flies through the fucking queues. These queues don't last 5 minutes. So we had some spare time, wandered round, bought some stuff, bought some crap and stuff and things and stuff and stuff and things. So my back is in agony, my knees are in agony, we're all in agony, all three of us. So now it's time to get food. Was that Helen behind me? I can see it's your hand, there she is.
My head hurts, but hello. Hi, I'm Junkrat, what's up?
And then there's Warren there.
Hello.
But yeah, we're all in agony, everything aches. So we're going to go home now and have a nice cup of tea. But yes, I should probably add a little bit more. I won't say goodbye yet because I'll probably add a little bit more to this when I get home. And I'm not in so much agony and I can talk properly because I can feel my voice going. So, yes. Okay. Okay, I am home now. I have had something to eat, some nice KFC, and I've had a nice cake, and I've got a cup of coffee over on the side there. So let me elaborate a little bit more on what a shit show the autograph queues were. Basically, I'll put a picture up of the floor plan. Now, originally, I asked them about a week ago on their Facebook page, will there be a floor plan? They said no. And suddenly, magically, one appears. But yeah, so the queue, at the far end, as you can see, I'll do a little picture and I'll highlight it. At the far end was where the guest signings were, where the autograph area was. Now, you had it like a little in the corner like that. So you had 4 tables along there and then tables along that side. So it was like that. So on this side you had Danny John Jules, Craig Charles, Doug Naylor and John Barrowman at the end. John Barrowman was the only one that actually had security there and was also the one that had some sort of barrier. But then his is very quick, you know, next. He is very quick with his, very efficient, which is what, it would be nice to stop to have a chat, but I understand why he's efficient. But anyway, yeah, so like that. And then on the other side, you had Mike Quinn, Christopher Ryan, Anita Dobson, and Lisa Coleman. So they were like that, right? Now, obviously, Danny John Jules and Craig Charles and that were very popular. So their queue was sort of like snaking out and around and doubling back on itself, right? And stuff. So when you've got the queues that side there, people then that are trying to queue for, say, Anita Dobson are coming out and being shoved that way. Because again, in the corner bit here, in the corner, they had like some props and Star Wars stuff, you know. So it was like, it was more like that. And you had a gap where people could walk through. But it was just sort of like, there were no barriers out. There were no markings on the floor. There was no fucking staff. And if there were staff, they weren't wearing any sort of uniform or any sort of t-shirt. They didn't have like a name badge on or a little something saying staff. So I had no idea who to ask about anything. the only person I did speak to that I knew was staff, that was the lady that was doing the autographs. Now, again, no signage, nothing on the walls behind, not even like a poster saying who's at what table, right? They had a little like A4 picture on the table itself in front of who it was, full of all like the pictures that you can get signed and stuff, right? But again, nothing. I had no idea where anybody was. Again, spoke to the lady. It was cash at the table, or if you wanted to pay by card, you had to go to this lady. She would take the card payment on the little thingy and then give you a little slip of paper, which you then handed over. So you know the autograph of paper, which is what I did with Craig Charles. Right? Because I thought, well, that way then, that sort of guarantees me an autograph because I have the piece of paper, right? But yeah, the queues were like doing this, were meshing together. The only reason I knew what queue I was in, because I was asking people. Like I said, there were no staff to ask. I felt sorry for the lady, like, doing the autograph tickets and stuff, because she was getting some brunt. She really was, and it wasn't her fault. You know? Because it was a shambles. It was an absolute shambles. It was not organised in any way, shape or form. You know, luckily us Brits know how to queue. So we made our own queue. We made our own, made it work. You know? And it was just sort of like, that was absurd. It was, I've been going to Comic Con since 2012. Right? I have done big MCM Comic Cons. I have done small little like ones down at Exeter and stuff like that. I have done small local ones. Right? And of all the Comic Cons I have been to, I have never seen something so fucking disorganised. Like the queue system, there was no queue system. People made up a queue. Right? The photo booth was completely open. Anybody could have taken pictures, right? So sort of like, I have paid, as an example, I paid to have a photo shoot with Craig Charles, right? So I'm there sort of like, yay, photo shoot, yeah, you know, and stuff like that. And then I actually saw, I think it was I can't remember which one it was. I think was it still Craig Charles? I don't know. But I saw people stood behind the table, literally with their phone, aiming it and cropping the other person out who had paid for the photo. So they go, oh, there's a picture of Craig Charles there. And I'm thinking, no, fuck off. The photo booth should have been more private to stop that. Apparently, and I didn't see this, but I've been told that when John Barrowman was having his photos, there were actually 2 security staff in front of the table, because there was like a table where the printers, oh, I'll come on to the printing in a minute for the photos, right? So there was a table that had the printer on that was printing off the photos, and they were like laying them on the table so you could go and pick them up, right? Apparently John Barrowman had 2 like security staff there that if anybody looked like they were getting their phone out, they were like, no, and immediately stopping it, which is what it needed, you know. As for the photos, they had loads of problems with the printers, and at one point apparently a kid knocked into the table, and these little printers, the table collapsed and the printers went flying. Right? Put it this way, I queued for Anita Dobson's photograph. Right? I then had about just over half an hour before Craig Charles's photo shoot as well. Right? But they were already queuing for Craig Charles, so I thought, oh, I'm just going to go straight to there, right? By the time I had done the Craig Charles photo shoot, right, my Anita Dobson photograph was ready, so I went and got that signed. And then I came back to the table, right, then I had to go back for the John Barrowman photo shoot, right, and by the time the John Barrowman photos, oh look, there's my Craig Charles. I was literally sending the kids to the table to see if the pictures were there yet. Again, shambles. There were people there waiting 3/4 of an hour just to get the fucking photo, which they want to get signed. I mean, there were some people complaining about, oh, I've got to pay for an autograph, and I'm like, most Comic Cons will do that now. They charge you the photo, they charge you for the autograph. And if you want something extra signed, you have to pay twice. As an example, Anita Dobson, Anybody that knows her from EastEnders knows she did a song to the EastEnders theme. So I had that on vinyl, so I asked her to sign that. So I had to pay for 2 autographs, which was 50 quid because there's 25 quid each, you know. And it was just sort of like, people were complaining about that. But the most complaints I heard while I was stood in queues, and my voice is sore, my throat is sore from all the talking. There were so many people complaining. They had people in wheelchairs that had nowhere to go. They didn't know what queue to be in. Not being funny, somebody like that, if you're like disabled or something, there should have been a member of staff going like, oh yeah, hang on a minute, and pushed them to the front. I honestly couldn't give a shit. If somebody in a wheelchair or, you know, or a young child or something like that, disabled, gets pushed to the front of me, doesn't bother me in the slightest. And if it does bother you, have a word with yourself. You know, and again, it was just sort of like, and then queuing for the photo shoots. It was just a big long line. And it was like, yeah, I mean, I can't even say I had a fun day. I had a day that happened. Yes, I got to meet people that I've been wanting to meet for a long time. You know, I did actually get to chat a little bit with Craig Charles, which was nice. I would like to have chatted more with John Barrowman, but he was like, sort of like, sign, yes, there we go, nice, fuck off. You know, next. But, yeah, I mean, Anita Dobson, bless, she is, I love Anita Dobson. She's shorter in real life than what I thought she was, but anyway. She gave Warren a hug and kissed him on the cheek and said, have a nice day. And he was always sort of like, It was sort of like granny hug. Oh, I like my love. I went, you know. She's so sweet. But no, I love Anita Dobson. She was awesome. Same with Craig Charles. I didn't have the chance to get anybody else's autograph. I'm glad I didn't have any other photo shoots. You know, not being funny, if William Hope had been there this morning, I don't think I would have got half the stuff done that I needed to. You know, like I spent about 90% of my day in a queue. My back is in absolute agony. Now, I had already dosed myself up on pain meds, which I dosed up on again during the day, you know, and I, like, Valjex, I've got this special, like, gel stuff from the doctor, like steroidal cream gel stuff from the doctor, whacked that on my back before I went, and I've already whacked some more on as well, sort of thing, and I'm just sort of like, in agony. Because I spent so long queuing, standing. There was no seating. The only seats were at the stage area. There were no little tables and chairs or anything where anybody else could sit. People were sitting in the windowsills, which I couldn't have, yeah. It was a struggle getting up and down out of the fucking windowsill to sit down, you know. Going back to the car just so I could, like, sit in the boot of the car and we're back. You know, but the queuing system, I mean, yes, I got to meet people. Yes, I bought some random crap, but I didn't buy it. It was Warren. It was, here, Warren, have some cash. Go and buy some stuff that I want. You know, or I didn't, well, not even this. I love mystery bags. I love mystery bags. So he bought a Star Wars one that was £25. And here's the crap that was in the Star Wars bag. And then we bought a dice one for Patrick. I haven't got pictures of that because he took it upstairs. But I had a little dice key ring and a notepad and stuff like that in. And yeah, that was it. Oh, and I bought a little cuddly dinosaur, little like crocheted dinosaur thing because it was cute. What else did I get? And a jar of ectoplasm. I got a jar of ectoplasm for Ghostbusters for my Vince Clortho. It'll come in handy for that cosplay. But yeah, so I mean, it was sort of like, because John Barrowman was so quick, we had about, 20 minutes or so at the end of the day before it shut at 4. At 4, it was open 10 till 4. But most people weren't going in until 10:30. So it was busy-ish, but by about like 3 o'clock, it was like practically empty. And like I said, because John Barrowman was so quick, we had a last-minute wander around and bought some crap. And I met Simon and his lovely wife from Brambledown Designs. They do absolutely gorgeous artwork. Go check out their website. This is not sponsored. But they recognise me because I've been a patron of theirs for so long. I have won stuff at competitions at Comic Cons with them and stuff. So it's not very often they do small little Comic Cons like this. So I was lucky I got to meet them, but yay. For Simon and whatnot. But yeah, otherwise, apart from that, I cannot, in all honesty, say I've had a fun day. Like I said, I spent most of the time queuing and not knowing where I was going, not knowing what queue was and just asking people. You know, I shouldn't be asking people. There should be a member of staff there clearly labelled as a member of staff. The only staff there that were clearly labelled were the stadium itself's security. You know, apart from that, it was just an utter shit show. It really was. As soon as I saw the floor plan, I said to a friend, I said, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And I was right. But anyway, my cup of coffee is going cold, so I'm going to have that. But yeah, so that was my fun, not really, day at Creed Conventions at Ashton Gate Stadium in Bristol. If Creed do I don't know. It's one of those things that if they do another one, I'd like to go to see if they've improved. But at the same time, I don't want to go in case it's a shit show again. And I have to email them to make sure I get the refund on my photo shoot. But even looking on their social media, there was nothing that said he wasn't going to be there. It wasn't until I was like talking to other people in the queue for something completely different, and I happened to mention he's not, and somebody else went, oh, he's not here. And I was like, no, he's called. I was called. He called in sick. And I was like, oh, I wanted him to sign so and so. Like, where on the social media? That was, I didn't see it. If they did, I didn't see it. And so, but anyway, yes. Like I said, I'm going to have my cup of coffee because it's going cold. I might even, I bought a big slab of fudge as well. A picture of the cakes. I also bought a giant fucking bar of marshmallow. But I haven't got a picture of that. I am absolutely cream crackered. But, yeah, I mean, it's like the social media was like a bit shit as well. I saw people asking questions and it wasn't a decent answer. Like I said, I asked, you know, I was told no selfies. But people were taking selfies. But again, there was no staff to say don't do that. It's like, it really was just an utter shit show. And I have not been to one that's been that much of a fucking shambles. That's the only way to describe it. It was a shambles. There was just no organisation, no proper organisation. And considering if you've been to Ashton Gate Stadium, you will know how big it is. They had enough space and enough room to do what was needed to be done. I've been to other Comic Cons at Ashton Gate and they were fine. No problems whatsoever. You know, and the photo shoot area was either covered in or it was a separate part of it so people could just walk past going, oh, look, there's so-and-so, take a photograph and crop people out. You couldn't do that. You know, so, but I don't know. If they do another one, I don't know. But anyway, yeah. Happy that I got to meet some lovely people. Got chatting to some lovely people as well. Oh, I also met a guy dressed as Lister from Red Dwarf, who Craig Charles was. And he was awesome. We were chatting to him a lot. And yeah, so I don't know what else to say apart from it was a bit of a shit show. And I am so tired. I'm going out for an early night tonight. So, but anyway, on that note, I will say goodbye. Thank you for watching and apologies for my long rant at the end here, but it was, I just can't get over how bad it was. Can't get over how bad it was. But anyway, you all take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. Okay, bye.